SwayamPrabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Let us start this lecture with a thought process from Swami Vivekananda, who says, all the wealth of the world cannot help one little Indian village if the people are not taught to help themselves. Our work should be mainly educational, both moral and intellectual. Unfortunately, today the education being imparted in this country is lacking both moral sense and also intellectual sense. And we are not really teaching people how to take care of their life and basic needs like food, shelter and what you call the cloth. And in the last few lecture we have already discussed about agriculture and also the textile, and in the last lecture we initiated discussion about housing. And we had seen in the last lecture that how our housing was in ancient rural India, and we discussed about various aspects about starting even for cultural signatures in our houses. Even today it is still exist, but it is just going out at an alarming rate. And beside this we looked at the scientific aspects of that. If you recall, we are discussing towards end about aerodynamic aspects of the what you call roof. And today we will also continue to discuss that traditional knowledge was having applied science. We what you call teach science and technology, but we do not really make them to practice in their life. So, let us look at about certain more aspect about. So, as we have seen, like in a house, thatched house, like several things will be there. For example, in thatched house there will be roofs here made of maybe bamboo, or this basically truss. There will be others also like an reefs, and this you can call it basically spar, right, and this you can call it as a reeve here kind of things, and this is a truss. And this truss has to be connected with, this is your basically column, and all the roof elements, this is part of the roof, has to be joined together. That is the first important thing, and then the roof has to be joined to the wall and also to the column. In this case it is being joined here, but in earlier days people were using the coir rope, and later on also people started using the nail, iron nails. And again this wall to the floor and floor to foundation, which is not shown here, those are very important thing, has to be joined, otherwise the structure will not be that stable. And besides this there are two kinds of roof one can think of. One is angle, this is the hip roof, and other is a gable roof. There is a overhang here, right, this you can call overhang. Generally the hip angle roof is preferred over the gable ends, as it is less prone to the roof because it is secured very easy well with the wall. This is your wall, therefore it will not really go out, particularly when the wind speed is very high, it will not lift it out. But unfortunately in the last lecture we had seen that you need to have an overhang of proper size and angle also to prevent the direct heat sun falling on the wall, particularly in summer season. And therefore, it is beside this, the walls are generally in rural areas made up out of mud, and those wall has to be protected from the rain. For that reason, overhang is also given. So, therefore, you cannot afford to have a mud wall house without overhang. But of course, if it is a concrete and mortar, one can give, but still overhang is required because you will have to protect the wall. And this angle, if you look at this angle, the angle of sloping of the roof must be greater than 30 degree, as it may produce suction of wind on the roof leading to the blown away. So, if you look at this is a angle which is a small, if I say this is equal to alpha, right, and this of course 10, 15 to 20 degree, and generally it is recommended that it will be more than 30. Question arises why? Let me try to explain you. Suppose the wind is coming like this, and this is having angle. If it will come this way, I can resolve this with the what we call angle here. So, this angle is alpha, and this is your, if I say this is velocity v, this will be v cos alpha, and this will be v sin alpha. So, therefore, if the angle is small, this velocity v cos alpha will be higher, right. And then what will happen, the pressure, static pressure on the surface of the roof will be more. We can use simple Bernoulli's principle, like if I say this is P t is equal to P plus half rho V cos alpha square. That means, if alpha is small, is smaller, is lower down, right, then what will happen, V cos alpha will be square will be higher, and then pressure will be lower, right. So, as a result, if the small angle, then there will be more suction. That means, smaller angle will be more suction, higher angle will be less suction. If suction is higher, then there is a more chances that the roof will be blown out. Therefore, if you look at most of the houses in rural India and other places also, like angle is being kept around 30 to 40 degree. Although, if you look at, if I will make a small angle roof, and then the amount of the thatched materials, like straw and hay will be very low, and then cost will be lower, right. But still we will have to use the higher angle, because of that it will not be blown out. See, that is the kind of knowledge were there in our traditional wisdom. So, therefore, we need to look at that, and we today we just do it. And in case of what you call flat roof, if you look at what we do with concrete and other thing, there is a big problem of how to take out the water. Sometimes in the flat roof we will have to make it slope little bit, such that the water will be flown down, particularly during rainy seasons. So, those things concepts are very interesting, and they have done. I was wondering why they are having this inverted V shape, having certain angle, and people are having. They may not be knowing the Bernoulli's equation at that time, hopefully, or I do not know, but at least they were knowing what is to be done and what angle, and that angle amounts to be the right one. So, beside this, of course, the joining, if you look at, this is the part of the truss, this is a limb, like truss limb, and it has to be joined with the wall, and this is your wall properly. And if you look at this also, the windows should not be kept near the line of the roof. Why? Because if it will be, then there might be a chances it may help in blowing off the roof, because too many wind will be entering into, and then it will pressure will raise, and then already this thing, particularly in the rainy season where the wind is higher, and so also other times cyclone and other things. And therefore, large opening the near roof lines are not provided. You must have seen this in the rural areas, okay. But today we are not, we can put anywhere what we like, because we are using concrete and then mortar, we are not bothered about it, okay. People were very concerned. So, you can think of putting a roof of windows here in this place, you know, somewhere if you want to have 2, generally people do not go for 3, unless it is a big house having a width of you know, a larger width. Generally 2 are placed, so that the strength of the wall will also be written, okay. So, these are the kinds of ideas, scientific ideas people were having at that time. So, which you can see today, even like in maybe in remote places you may find the houses are having this, but in modern you know, village where the now the concrete and mortar is being used profusely, you will not find this kind of, you know, concept being implemented, because they do not know what they are doing, right. So, beside this there is a ventilation system, what was a very important in ancient rural housings, because air velocity created discomfort, particularly when either the cold or the hot air blows directly onto the human being, right. You might have experienced yourself, right. But if it is comes tangentially or with not directly, then you may feel good, provided the velocity is not that high. So, therefore, that has been taken care in the house also. It is important to have the fresh air constantly entering the house throughout the year. It is not only in the you know, summer or maybe in the rainy season, but in other seasons, that also is important. And it must also be distributed you know, evenly to minimize the sudden temperature change or the draft in the room, right. And those are taken care and by the 2 ventilation systems what you can find in rural houses. One is wind driven cross ventilation, which you people will be knowing, right, that is being done, and other is buoyancy driven ventilation system. And for wind driven cross ventilation system, windows are provided on wall opposite of the doors for a better cross ventilation, and generally you know, this kind of things being used, and this is your door, right, and the air can enter, then it will, and then windows are not just front put place in front, rather it puts in the corner somewhere, so that the wind will enter into the room and then go, right. And sometimes some windows are placed here also in this portion, you know, so that the you know, wind will come over here, and that depends upon the design, so that the velocity will be distributed evenly across the room, okay. This is a system being placed, right. And so also the other things, and generally houses were designed earlier days to get advantage of natural breeze for houses, you know, for a house kind of thing, and so that the cooling, you know, can be kept. And natural ventilation relies on the breezes to remove the moisture, heat, odors and active gases. There are several things that is very essential to be get removed instead of closing it. Nowadays, people are staying in air conditioned room. It is all closed, the oxygen level goes down if you close it. And of course, we have already seen that, you know, like nice scenario for cooling of inclined roofs, you know, why we are having thermal, we had seen earlier. And if you look at, let me look at a buoyancy driven ventilation system here, like there is a air is entered, right, air here, and then there is a system over openings, and then air will come and go here, and due to what? Due to basically buoyancy, because heat will be coming in. Let me show you a little 3-dimensional figure, right. This is the air which will be entering, and then this is the sun which will be falling the heat, and then there will be buoyancy will be there, and it will be, the air will be going through this vent and going through this, and then go up and then passing through that. Let me show you another maybe figure that will be clear. So, if you look at the fresh air is entering here, and there will be of course, some of the things there will be recirculations, and then it will carry this moisture, dust and heat to some extent, and it will be driven by buoyancy, right. It will be driven by buoyancy, and that helps in taking the out, and then it will be very clean. So, this is a good part of this inclined roof, and also there is a ventilation can be provided, right. So, those things were there in earlier houses, but unfortunately today it is not prevailing, right. Although we are saying that we are very advanced, right. And there is another thing which I have observed when I was a kid like you, and I had visited rural areas at that time, and now I am trying to relate this attic house to the solar dryer, and also it can be used for cooling the room. Let me show you how it is. It is as I told, this is the inclined roof, thatched roof, right. And there is of course, this is your living place, living space here, and these regions, and there is a attic portion is this, like this is a wooden beam, this is the wooden beam, right. And this there will be a layer of mud, and then on that top of it generally the things like grains are being dried, because the heats is coming over here. If you look at the solar, the heats are entering here, right, and then it will be dried, and then that is being used. I remember that we are also used to store a lot of like grains here, so that it will be remain, and the air, of course, there might be some holes here, some air might be circulated also. In some places there is opening over here, like that ventilation system were there. Particularly those things you will get in the like in some houses you may find, and it was very good. And nowadays I find that people are drying the grains on the direct sunlight, which is not supposed to be, because it spoils the nutrient values of the grain. But at that time the people used to do this, right. And in the winter season, this kind of what we call ceiling, what is given here on the top of the thatched house, right, which helps in maintaining the temperature in summer. Summer it was cool. I mean, like at least I had lived for of course maybe for a few days whenever I visit, whenever I had visited to my native place, a village, and then it was very good, right. So, it was all there, but today you will not find this kind of attic house today in village, because all our people are making concrete buildings. And mud flooring is very important, I will be talking about, because this is of course very rare to see. A woman is basically smearing a slurry which is prepared by the mixing the cow dung with the mud, and of course for doing that one has to soak this the floor with the water for 2 to 3 hours, and it should not be too much, also the water be too much water must not be placed in that, otherwise it will be difficult. But that is an art one has to learn, and then do that. And then you will have to smear this slurry with either hand or with the help of maybe some brush kind of thing made out of cloth. Of course, she is doing in her own hand. And what are the advantages one may think of? Because if you look at, this is the free of cost, because the cow dung is available. It is a part of rural India where the agriculture is the main way of living, and it will be cool in summer and warm in winter, right. That is the thing what you can get, and it is environmentally friendly. It disinfects the area due to the use of cow dung. Of course, I had a talk with somebody, they are saying that it is little controversial, and some people claim that it is the pathogens getting decreased because of using cow dung, but some other people says something. So, therefore, one has to be very careful and check it. But as my gut feeling is that as the people are doing for ages together and they were very healthy. So, therefore, I would believe that it may be disinfect the area. But however, more research is to be done with the present context of the natural imbalance, what is happening. We should not take as it is, we should check and correct and verify it and then take. So, and also there will be little bit wavy, little very, you can see that there is some small up and down, it is not as polished as the your now tiles house or mosaic house, it is having something, and that helps in giving maybe aqua punctures or the pressure to the thing, and it will be helpful for maintaining health, and also you will not fall down there. But today a lot of old people particularly are falling down on the floor and then going to medical hospitalized for the breakage of legs and hands and what not. But that kind of thing, and beside this I am just remembering that this floor height also was different from room to room, particularly for kitchen it will be different, for maybe for your puja room it will be different. I was wondering why they were making different, but an idea came to my mind, it might be like the height will be maintained for certain utility, but other thing is that if you move around, do your work, it will be a good exercise, right. So, that your bone and other thing will be strengthened, that one can think of. And as I told this, when you make it is basically one has to maintain it and is a good form of physical exercise, and when you do something and you get a personal satisfaction, and little bit art is required, not everybody can really make this mud floor, right, and maintain it. So, you feel satisfied that you are having capability to do and maintain that, but at disadvantage if you look at skill is required, but not that technical, and human labor is required, but I will put it other way around, that if you won't do physical exercise, then your body will get lot of diseases, particularly nowadays, and it is also not very durable, that is the negative part. But it is also can be converted into advantage, the disadvantage can be converted to advantage if you look at proper perspective. So, therefore, this is the thing what our ancestors were doing or in ancient India. So, we need to look at it and we can relearn it and do whatever the way we can at this moment. I will be showing some of the things that what people have improvised. Maybe I will come to that particularly mud wall, I will show how people have improvised it. And if you look at wall materials, there are several of them like wooden wall, bamboo reinforced mud wall, grass and tree branch reinforced mud walls. Reinforced is not that what concrete mortar and then iron rod, it is the people are using earlier days, okay, it is not a new concept, it is earlier concept. So, also people are talking about natural geogrid wall, right, and of course, the mud wall I will show you a little bit more, and stone and mud wall I will just go through or we will learn little bit about those things. Because if you look at wooden wall is very simple to do, and here it can be the wooden planks are being used like commonly, these are wooden planks, right. And of different sizes, and it can be horizontal, it can be vertical, these are the vertical things depending on the thing, and it looks very elegant, and earlier days wood was very much available, but today of course it is a scarcity or is a scared commodity, and it is simple to connect and erect because wood you can join very easily, right, and it is easy to handle unlike your brick and the mortar or other stones, right. And in case of earthquake it is very good, nothing will happen, like that is why people in Japan they use the wooden houses, you might have studied, right. Even in our area particularly in Arunachal Pradesh and Himalaya region people used to make wooden house. And failures if it will be there, it will not be catastrophic like your concrete and mortar structures, right, kind of things. and nice architectural effect possible, because I had lived in a wooden house which was quite good aesthetically. You feel good about it, as if you are with the nature. If you love nature, you feel part of it. So, that kind of feeling you will get, but of course, it will be having disadvantage also, like it will be more theft cases, like with the criminal activities going on in our country and other places. So, it is a lot of safety issues are there, and there might be termite, right, or other insects may be spoiling it, maintenance is a problem. There are several other problems associated with it. Bamboo, if you look at, is an extremely strong natural fiber. When I was a kid, bamboo was used left and right, particularly in Odisha, because we are growing a lot of good bamboos, but today it is not. It is quite lighter, as its specific gravity is around 0.57, its average weight is around 0.6 kg per meter, right, it is quite lighter, that shows. And very important thing, the reinforced nodes like a diaphragm kind of thing prevents the emerging longitudinal crack spreading over the entire length of the thing. Suppose there is a crack which may likely to occur in the bamboo, but it will not spread, because if you look at a bamboo, there will be something diaphragm will be here. This is the and that will not allow it to spread. This is naturally available with that, you need not to do anything, right. So, and it is economical and environmental friendly, right, and it can be also biodegradable and good for Indian seasonal variation in temperature, because there is a lot of temperature difference and it will be good that way. And of course, if you look at the failure which may likely to occur, but in civil engineering, in the history of civil engineering, people say never claimed that bamboo is that strong, and then people use it. And of course, these are the some of the data I have just put, and it may vary, but I have just given you so that you can have a feel, and you can see that this is some variation I have given, maybe more variation will be there. It will be having good tensile strength, and is having also compressive strength, density is very low, and it is having the bending elasticity is quite high, and so also the bending strength. So, it is of course comparable with any other material, and it is far better than the wood even. And if you look at of course, metal, it can be comparable to some extent. And this is the house, this is the wall one can think of having been knitted, this kind of thing. Even you can think of using the dresses out of bamboo. Bamboo textiles are there, you might have seen, like people have done, like yarn they can produce and one can do, and this is being knitted. And bamboo, if you look at, it is woven bamboo wall, like these are the bamboos, it is being woven properly, right, and one can say without even mud cladding. And there is another one, it will be these are the bamboos, right, and these are being like wattle, we call it wattle, these are the wattle, right, okay. And then you can have a plaster, what we call dub, right, and then you can use it. And there are several design one can think of, I am showing some of them, if you go across the country, various design in various places you will get. There is a this known as whole bamboo columns, like single bamboo, entire bamboo, right, will be placed together, and you tied with another two small bamboos, this thing, and tied with the wire or the rope, and you can place it, right. So, there are several kinds of design of wall you can find. I have just shown you few of them, right, and one has to, of course, I would suggest that you please maybe take some photograph if you come across, and if it is lying, particularly in the Arunachal Pradesh and other places, still people are using that, Assam, Arunachal Pradesh and other places. If you could get and put a picture, that will be nice, because I was searching, I could not get actual pictures, So, what we will do, we will stop over here, and we will maybe discuss in the some other aspects in the next lecture. Thank you very much.